Krishna Pistaya Bhutale Srimad Gour-Govinda Swami Niti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutale Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pachadine Devasesha Sunyavadi Pasyatari Satarine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutale Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Niti Namine. Shivasa Banavi Devi Daya Kupodaya Krishna Sambandha Bhigane Daine Pravema Namaha Madhya Gala Prema Das Sri Rupanuga Bhakti Das Sri Guru Karuna Shakti Vigrayana Namaste Namaste Gauravani Shimudya Dinataline Rupanuga Viruda Pasidanta Danta Harine. I offer my Dandavat Pranams to Om Vishnupad Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, who in this world is most dear to Krishna. I offer pranams to Sri Vasa Banavi Daita Das, the manifestation of an ocean of mercy, who bestows realization of our eternal relationship with Krishna. O Srila Saraswati Thakur, you deliver Sri Rupanuga Bhakti, which is enriched with Ujvala Madhurya Prem. You are the embodiment of the mercy potency of Sri Gauranga. I offer Dandavat pranams to you. I offer obeisance to you, the embodiment of Sri Gauranga's message, You deliver the fallen and remove the darkness of philosophical misconceptions that are opposed to the precepts taught by Srila Rupa Goswami. Amma Gyanati Manandasya, Jananjana Salakaya, Chakshu Sanmilitam Yena, Tasmai Sri Gurudeva Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manogistam, Stapitam Yena Bhutale, Swayam Rupa Kadamayam, Tadakti Swapatantikam, Mukam Karoti Bachalam Pangum Manga Tegidim. Yat Kripatamaham Bande Sri Gurudeva Paramananda Madhavan Radha Samukha Samsaktim Saki Sangi Nivasanim Tramaham Sapadam Bande Malavarashra Vigram Hey Guru Gandhini Bando Sivananda Radha Karanaka Sindhu Vilavanasana Heta Prasada Prasida Radha Pranaya Prachara Amso Bhagavatos Raham Sadatasos Visavata Takripa Peksa Konitam Tapresta Shak Karanvistam Bande Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prema Merita Rupriyan Sakarupan Bhaktiganan Krishna Prema Vanshikava Jivishcha, Krivasandivya Vacha, Petitanam, Vinabhyo Vaishnavabhyo. Dandavats everyone. Vanshikava Jivishcha, Krivasandivya Vacha, Petitanam. All glories to our beloved Gurudeva, His Divine Grace, Srila Gour-Govinda Swami. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutale Srimad Gour-Govinda Swami. So, this week, we're very fortunate, fortunate in the sense that we got a chance to glorify our beloved Gurudeva. Sunday there was a Zoom session in Bali in the evening, and Gurudeva was glorified. They invited me, I spoke, and it was run by Sundarananda Prabhu. So that was very nice. And it was yesterday in Europe, but today here it was UK and Europe, and they invited me to speak again, and it was hosted by Navadvip Chandrapur. It was very nice, everyone got together. It was very nice. And today we're here, and we've all been invited to speak, and we have to thank the three main managers here. His Holiness Sripad Paramati Maharaj, Parananda Puri Prabhu, and his good wife Prajit Kishori Mataji. And it's quite unique, as I said last year, Gurudev's Vyaspuja, it's quite unique what we're doing here because we've got living people. We're not on Zoom, we're not looking at screens, we're all living here, it's alive, it's not virtual. So it's very nice. So it's Gurudev's 25th disappearance. So the disappearance of the Guru is a situation of suffering for the disciple, and the appearance is the moment of happiness, isn't it? When one meets Sri Guru, one realizes that this is the real thing. This is the real personality. This is the real Sadhu. This is real Vaishnava. This is real Mahajan. The Swarup Shakti Krishna Padika, Kaya View expansion from the spiritual world is sitting there in front of me, and I'm listening. Very fortunate. So it's 25 years since Gurudev left. And if everything had gone to plan, as every single astrologer, every mystic, every psychic, anyone who knew the Samudra, everyone, even that could read palms, if it had all gone to plan, this would be Gurudev's first or second disappearance. Stay on this planet up to 90 years. But Gurudev left in his 66th year, technically 24 years short. So that's an unmitigated disaster. Right? There's no other word for it. And we can wash it, it's Krishna's arrangement for Guru, it's this, it's that. No, there's a definite reason someone leaves 24 years too early. This is not a game. Right? This is not a game. I'll be Guru, I'll be sannyasi, I'll be sadhu, blah, blah, blah. It's like my wife was saying to me, she said, when we were kids, you want to be a doctor or army man or I'll be in the Navy man, I'll be a policeman, right? So she said, we're all kids and we're all thinking, we'll be Guru. Same mentality, I'll be Guru. And when a real Guru comes, when a real sadhu comes, a real Vaisnava comes, we shun him, push him aside, sweep him under the carpet, or character assassinate him. Because the worst thing for the pseudo-guru, pseudo-swami, pseudo-religionist, pseudo-spiritualist, etc. is the real deal, the real sadhu. So, as I said, if everything had gone to plan, this would be the first or the second disappearance of Gurudev. And if you see those Gurudev's lifeline, Gurudev's lifeline, right? There's no cracks, there's no breaks, nothing. It's like carved in stone. This thick, dark line, lifeline. It's not a 66-year lifeline. So in the Sri Bhaktivinoda Vaibhav, chapter 7, part 8, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said, the disciple should glorify the spiritual master every day for 1 hour. Try that. See how you go. Which means Vyasa Puja is not once a year or the disappearance of enough. It's glorification every day. Vyasa Puja every day. And Gurudev personally told me, His Divine Grace, Gaur-Govinda Swami personally told me at Gaur-Govinda Swami said, the duty of disciple according to the Manusamhita is to glorify the spiritual master. Because we are conditioned souls. We are battling for the status of Kanishta. We're battling for that status. And in that status, we want to be, I'm the number one disciple, I'm the best disciple, I'm the best, I'll be Guru, I'll be this, I'll be that. Yeah, sure. Kanishta means beginning. Right? I'm in kindergarten and I'm going to teach physics at university. Right? It's not going to work, right? They won't understand what I'm saying. And you won't understand either because you don't know it either. So, it is a duty of the disciple to glorify the Guru. And that is the position of the conditioned soul. He should glorify, not glorify himself or make a big name for himself on the words of the Guru. In the Sri Sacred Atoshani by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he has said, no part of the pure devotee should be hidden. Because every part of that pure devotee is too auspicious. We don't want to hide any of it. We don't want to hide any part of that pure devotee. And in the Sri Krishna Samhita, he says, if there's no current acharya leading the mission for people to see, to associate with, ask questions, etc., people will become very sinful. Must be a leader of the mission. It's not enough to have a picture or a film or whatever. Must be the leader, acharya of the mission in the living. And we can see how he walks, how he talks, how he, etc., etc., etc. But we're all playing at being policemen and army men and ambulance influence drivers as children, and then we think, I'll play at being guru. But there's no empowerment to be guru. There's no empowerment. Right? The camera's here and everyone's here. It's a bit... So, there's no empowerment to be good. There's no that Sarup Shakti Krishna Padikar Kaya Vyuha. Potency is not in that living ability to be guru. Practically speaking, we're not even Krishna Bhakta. We are aspirants on the path. Ami tu Vaishnava Edwudihuela, Amani Nahaba Ami. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written, just aspirants. Don't think you're Vaishnava. And Gurudeva used to say, if I think I'm Vaishnava, demons enter into me. Right? It's one of the first things he said to us, yeah, right, when I was So when Maha Prabhu was speaking with Ramananda Roy in the 8th chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita written, Madhya Lila, Dukkha Madhya Kona, Dukkha Hoya Guru Tara, Krishna Bhakti Viraha Vina, Dukkha Nahi Deki Pada. What is the most distressful, most painful thing is when we lose the association of such dear devotees, Vaishnavas. That is the greatest suffering. Apart from that separation, I can't see any other suffering. So when we first saw Gurudeva, when we first saw him, his whole body was effulgent. Totally effulgent. It was just a total shock. We hadn't heard him speak, we just saw him. And then he spoke. And I don't know what happened, but we were sold. We were sold out. Conditioned soul can't do this. They can speak all day. They can go to university and get heaps of degrees and do whatever they like. But they're not on that level. There's no empowerment from the Supreme Lord. It's empowerment by the material energy, by the eating, sleeping, mating, defending, and the want for money. Right? The eating, sleeping, mating, defending, and the want for money. So now I'll present some information that may be a bit distasteful for some that are listening, but anyway, maybe no one here, but in that virtual world of the internet. In 1976, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada sent some devotees, or almost sent some devotees to China. And one of them was, and it's on the recollections of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada by disciples, and one is Drishadumna Swami. Drishadumna Das. And he said, we were all set to go to China, me, Tamal, there's a few of us. We went to see Prabhupada. He was writing the 8th canto of the Bhagavatam. Prabhupada said, forget going to China, don't go. And then a discussion started, and Prabhupada said, actually, I have not given you sannyas. Right? I've given you battlefield commission. Battlefield commission means in the battle, the lieutenants and the majors and the colonels are killed. So from who's left, privates, corporals and sergeants, you have to make officers and they lead the charge. Because there's no one else. So he said, I'm in a war with Maya. I need leaders, so you're not fit, but you're it. And then he said, most of you will fall. Most of you will fall. This is in the recollections of disciples by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. It's on the net, you can watch the film, you can hear the video, you can, whatever. You can see it all. But when our beloved Gurudeva, His Divine Grace Srila Gour Govinda Swami Maharaj took sannyas, he was a new man. He wasn't around for very long, right? And the big leaders and everyone went to Prabhupada, oh, why is he taking sannyas? He's a new man, he's a new man. Prabhupada turned to them and said, you're all new men. He is a devotee from his birth. That's the difference. The moon, or one moon. That's the difference. And we should not be envious if someone is more advanced than us. Shouldn't be envious. If someone's more advanced than us, then we want to serve that person. And if someone's less advanced than us, we want to help them. Isn't it? And that's the position of the Madhya. Right? Ishvara Tadadandesu, Bali Sesu Disatucha, Kripa Meriti, how does it go? Prema Meriti Kripa Pacha, Yakarodi Samadhya. The Madhya, 4 things, in general, 4 things. 1, develop his love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, associate, become friends with devotees, assist persons that are less fortunate than him, stay away from the envious. See, Madhyam discriminates. But the Uttamadhikari doesn't discriminate. He only sees the soul and the super soul. Guru Maharaj said this so many times. He only sees the soul and the super soul. He doesn't see the outside covering. And that Uttamadhikari, his business is to deliver one and all. Whereas the Kanishta, according to the Bhagavatam, what is it? Achayam Vyavahariya Pujamya Sovayehate Natan Bhakta Sikshanya Prakriti Sabhakta Prakriti Smitaha. He said the lowest position the Bhagavatam says. And what did Maha Prabhu say about the Bhagavatam? Ateva Bhagavata 18 Koi, Sambandha Vidaya Projanamoy. Top my scripture because the beginning, middle, and end, all throughout is Sambandha Vidaya Projana, which is the science of bhakti. So Kanishta is in the lowest position, the Bhagavatam says. He sees the deity, he serves the deity very faithfully, but does not know how to deal with people in general. He's in the lowest position, and he's Kamala Shraddha, weak faith, no understanding of the Siddhanta. The Madhyam has strong faith, has strong Sattva Vishvasa, Kaya Suddhadandas Joy, Krishna Bhakti Kola Savakama Kirtan, very strong faith, but his understanding of Siddhanta is very weak, not as strong. Whereas the Uttamadhikari, he knows your past, present, and future, fully realising the Siddhanta and totally empowered. That's the difference. So, and I've said this many times before, and I said it on Sunday, and I said it this morning to everyone in Europe and England, I'm going to say it again, and I'll just keep saying it until I bash my head against the wall, and I just, my head's dented, and I won't be able to say it anymore because my brain will be shaking around in my head, but, but that's, when that Acharya from Sri Rangam, what was he saying? Confirm all those times, there's no one in your ISKCON like your Gurudeva. Bas. No one. There's no one in ISKCON like your Gurudeva. No one. I've seen them. Many of them have come to my ashram. They've taken the shard. I've personally cooked for them and served them out. No one in your mission like Gaur-Govinda Swami. And just to make it a bit more interesting, this book here, in the Association of Pure Devotees, hundreds of quotes on why you need the living sadhu, right? From all the acharyas, not just one. We're doing the full 360-degree biographics of acharyas' information. And coming out of this book is the acharya, the Brahmin, the Shilpi. Persons who were very well educated in Vaishnava sciences, Vedic sciences, and could see His Divine Grace, Srila Gour Govinda Swami, was not rank and file of Vedic, was not Kanishta, was not Madhyam, not Bhav, Premi Bhakta. So when he came, and I'll say it again, what did he say? He said, 1, Siddha Purush Maha Bhagavata. 2, self-effulgent. 3, and I said this last year, but I'll say it again. The birthmarks on his body represent the different avatars of the Supreme Lord, Machakoma, Varaha, etc. Such a person is rarely seen in this world, and Gaur-Govinda Swami, Shakti-based avatar, come with the mission. Shakti-based avatar, come with the mission. So the mission was cut short, it stopped. It was supposed to go for longer, it stopped. There's no question he stopped to do something. No. The mission was cut short. And not only was he a Acharya from Sri Ranga, but as I said before, his disciple, secretary, Bhajan Ryan Ramanuja Das, was his psychic mystic. He knew the Siddhanta, he was a astrologer, he knew Samudrika, etc., etc., etc. They could see, they could pinpoint all the symptoms of a Maha Bhagavata on his body. We can't do that, we don't know that. Or maybe you can, I can't. And every single astrologer said the same thing. Every mystic said the same thing. Every psychic said the same thing. Long life. The mission is to deliver as many fallen conditioned souls as possible. And what will we say? We'll say, oh, but your guru doesn't have a letter to be a guru. Oh, so now we need a letter. What's that? Where? Who's got a letter? A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada has got a letter. Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur has got a letter. Where's Bhaktivedanta Thakur's letter? Oh, you're the Acharya now. Where's the letters? You want to sit? Has anyone got a letter? I could say some things, but there's people out there listening that will get offended, so I won't say it. So yeah, we don't accept that letter. So the Acharya from Sri Rangam, now bearing in mind the Acharya from Sri Rangam, he joined Sri Rangam at 9 years old. He's nice big brahmachari. Celibate his whole life. There's no nonsense in his life whatsoever. And he's a mystic and a psychic. He knew stuff about us that we didn't know. We knew. He knew stuff that only we knew. And he said, I've seen many sannyasis and preachers of ISKCON, but nothing like this. Such a person is very rarely seen on planet Earth. 1 in a billion, 1 in 2 billion. Very rare. It's very rare. So this is the Acharya from Sri Rangam, Sri Lakshman Ramanuja Jiya, Acharya Dev. His disciple, Sri Badrinarayan Ramanuja Das, and Badrinarayan Ramanuja Das's uncle, Tirthananda Das, who was one of the more prominent astrologers in Orissa, and he said, Vaikuntha Loka, Guru Loka. This is where Gaur-Govinda Swami is from, not from this place. And I've just learned now, one of my god sisters, 6 months after Gurudev left, she went to this astrologer, psychic, mystic, and he said, your Gurudev is very powerful, and he's just waiting to strike again. So he'd obviously taken birth very quickly and was waiting to carry on the mission. Mission cut short. So why was it cut short? Huh? Don't give me that answer. Don't give me that answer to try and pander to the sense enjoyment of conditioned souls. We don't want that answer. So Gurudev said many things, and I mean, unlimited things. Unlimited things. The definition of what a sadhu is. When he said that, he said, I said it to him, he was speaking to me. Gurudev was in his room, I was taking correspondence, he was speaking to me. And he said, I tried to explain it to my godbrothers in Mayapur, and they just laughed and said, too hard, Swami, too hard. Because he said, ultimately, sadhu must be minimum bhav. 7th wave of the Madhura Kandabini. Bhav means you see your eternal form and the Supreme Lord. That's Bhav. Bhav means Swarup Siddhi. Swarup Siddhi means next life, Bhoma Lila. Bhoma Lila, that's where the Prema, Sneha, Mana, Pranaya, Rag, Anurag, Bhav, etc. start to come. And then from there, Goloka. So then I'll tell this story about the fallen sannyasi. So they said, that's too hard, Swami. Well, if it's too hard, give the job to someone else. Isn't it? Give the job to someone else. If there's someone sitting in front of you who's glowing, knows all Siddhanta, born in a Vaishnava family, never broken the principles in his whole life, well, maybe we should associate with that person. I mean, I don't know, it could be a dumb idea, but maybe we should do that. So then, there was one sannyasi, and he'd fallen down, he had a girlfriend. Prabhupada said most of you will fall, and most of them did fall. So he had a girlfriend, so he didn't want to get married, he stayed in saffron, brahmachari, washing the pots, emptying the bins. That's a good service when a sannyasi falls down. Empty the pots, empty the bins, wash the pots, clean the toilets. You know what I mean? And then this fellow wanted to become a sannyasi again. Well, it's very serious. So, she wasn't a girlfriend, she was a prostitute girlfriend. But anyway. So they said to Gurudev, his divine grace Gaur-Govinda, so they said, Maharaj, what do you think? So Gurudev told this story about the sannyasi in the Gaudiya Math, under the guidance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. And he said, In the time of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, there was one sannyasi who left the mission, gave up his sannyas, and then he wanted to come back. And Gurudeva said, so when he came back, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada said to him, you can come back. Gurudeva told me straight to my face. It was Gurudeva sitting there and I was kneeling on the floor and he just told me straight to my face. And he said, I was explaining this to them and he said, this sannyasi and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada said, you can come back, but only as a brahmachari. There's no question of sannyasi. No question. And that devotee said, no problems. So then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada said, there must be some atonement. I want you to sit at the gate of the mutt and bathe the feet of all the pilgrims that come through the gate. And this devotee said, no problems. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said it should be done for a period of 6 months. And this devotee said, no problems. And then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada said, but their feet should be bathed with your tears of repentance for 6 months. And one of my godbrothers said this devotee did it. He knew the story, he said he did it. So when Guru Maharaj told that to his godbrothers in Mayapur, they said, too harsh, Swami, too harsh. Now that person is a sannyasi and a guru. Now why am I taking initiation from that person? I'm not taking initiation, but people are, right? So why are they taking? How can you get anything from that? Where's the Sri Shakti Krishna Pradikar? Where's the empowerment? Where's the Kaya view expansion from the spiritual world? Not possible. How can he, speaking, manifest the Kladini Shakti from here to here? So next point. So the problem was they were seeing Guru Maharaj as themselves and trying to bring him down. And that was the plan, bring down Gaur-Govinda Swami. That was the plan. Because this is the material arena of life. Right? You have to bring down those. Just like Pol Pot and all these people, all these dictators, they got rid of people that wore glasses and had high IQs because they're smarter than them. So you've got to get rid of all those people. When you're wearing glasses, you've got to go. Actually, I'm wearing glasses, I better go. But that's what they do. Because we cannot have anyone that's actually an intellectual. We cannot have anyone that's actually an empowered Vaishnava. Because one empowered Vaishnava can deliver the whole planet. We can't have that. Right? Because he's shining, and when I stand next to him, I look dark. And when he opens his mouth, it's absolute nectar. When I speak, I'm just reading from a book. How does it work? So that was the plan, get rid of Gaur-Govinda Swami. Bring him down, bring him down, bring him down. So, and that's just called envy. Because Gurudeva gave that lecture in 1995 in Mayapur. Society without envy, right? The real society of Vaishnavas. And in the Bhagavatam it says, Narada Muni speaking to Dhruva Maharaj, isn't it? Fourth canto of the Bhagavatam, he says, if you meet someone very advanced, then you should serve them. If you meet someone on the same level, you should befriend them. And if you meet someone who's less fortunate than you, you should assist them. And then in the commentary, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada writes, actually this is correct in the spiritual sense, but in the material sense, what really happens is if we meet someone who's more advanced than us, we try to bring them down. If we meet someone on the same level, we'll brag. I've done this, I've done that, I'm so great. And if we meet someone who's less fortunate with us, we'll just kick them. We'll criticise them, we'll just... So, the events leading up to Gurudev's leaving I did say a few of these points last year to Vyas Puja, but I'll just say, I'm going to try and relate the whole thing. And if I get it wrong, forgive me, and if I leave things out, I don't know what to say. So in 1996, January was the year Gurudeva went to Africa. Every year, Africa at the same time, Australia, Southeast Asia at the same time, America at the same time, Europe and England at the same time. Everything was the same time, like clockwork. So he went to Africa with Indra Das. It was a very wonderful tour. And I'll tell this story, but I'll tell it again because Gurudeva was on TV and he was interviewed, and and the interviewer was African, he was dark, and Gurudeva was Indian and he was dark, and Indra the servant of Gurudeva, was white. And all the interviewer could talk about was, you've got a white servant. Because Africa's the land of the slaves where the Westerners went and did all their nonsense, as I said last time. And that's all the fellow could talk about, you've got a white servant. And Gurudeva said, yeah, it's a disciple, follower, not slave, servant, yeah. So then after Africa, Gurudeva had to go through Bombay, and then they flew to Bhubaneswar and then to the temple. So in Bombay, Gurudeva landed on Mag Saptami, which is Advaita Saptami. Advaita Saptami means the appearance of Sri Advaita Prabhu, who is the manifestation of Mahavishnu and Sadashiva, correct? From the transcendental realm. He was the one that called called the Supreme Lord to come, because he could see everything's very sinful now. Everything that was then 535 years ago. Everything's very sinful. What about now? So that day, Gurudeva was going to speak on the glories of Sri Advaita Acharya in the temple of Bombay, Juhu Beach. On that same day, there was a life member, congregational member of ISKCON was getting married. So they had the choice to go to a marriage of a conditioned soul. I mean, what does marriage mean? I won't get into it, but yeah. Or hear a sadhu speak. Of course, everyone wants to stay and hear the sadhu speak. I've made a note here, but there was one nasty Swami there, Westerner, no longer on the planet, nasty fellow. And he made sure every man, woman and child devotee was on the buses and went to that wedding. Every single, and you know how I know? Because Indra told me the whole thing. He was there watching. He said he was there watching it all go on. This is the level of envy Gurudeva had to work against. And if you want to glorify these people, you should hand back your bead bag and just get a day job. Go work in a bank or something, you know. So Indra said to me, all these people were on the buses and going. He said there was still a lot of people left, and there was so many Indian guests, you know, like a lot of people. So Gurudeva came to give class, and there were still devotees left in the temple. Bombay's a big temple, a lot of devotees. There was so many guests, and you know, they all talk, Indians are talking, right? It's loud. So Gurudeva sat down, looked at the microphone, and Indra said, Gurudeva just started to roar like a lion. And all the Indians didn't know what to do, and then slowly they sat down, every single one of them, and Gurudeva spoke the glories of Sri Advaita. Indra said, wonderful class, and everyone really appreciated it. And Gurudeva said at the end, the only way I could get these people to stop talking, he said, was to roar. I was in the mood of Advaita Acharya, roaring. So there's the sadhu, the pure Vaishnava, who this Sri Rangamacharyas and Brahmins came up to visit and say, this is Maha Bhagavata, this is Sutta Bhakta, self-effulgence, etc., etc., etc. And there's we've got this nasty Western Swami, everyone on the bus, we don't want you to hear from Guru. This is the level of envy Gurudeva had to deal with. And Gurudeva said to me, when I did the first interviews for the life story, he said to me, from the first day I walked onto the Rama Reddy land in Vrindavan, the envy towards me began. Now, I've got it on tape, like you can hear it. And just as an off point, Gurudeva said, Gurudeva never joined a temple, he joined a construction site, right? In Rama, it was just a construction site. And then Prabhupada sent him to the wilderness of Orissa, not forest, jungle, where there were still tigers, elephants and bears roaming wild. So And he stayed there and did everything he needed to do. So, just as on another point, just to let you know, Gurudev said that he wanted to go to Vrindavan because he wanted to preach to the devotees there at the Sri Krishna Balaram Mandir in Raman Reddy. And you know why he wanted to preach to them? Because he said they do not know the Siddhanta. Big statement. They don't know Siddhanta, that's why he wanted to go there. So Gurudev gave a wonderful class in Bombay, flew to Bhubaneswar, and then went on the 30th of January, Galagiri. Spoke, paid Dandavats to Gopal 15 to 20 minutes. He spoke the story, I said this last year, of the wise old monkey. Right? The wise old monkey and all the young monkey. Good, and the story goes, as you know, the wise old monkey left because all the young ones were going to be destroyed, and the young ones called him a fool. Because young people criticise a lot of people, they just think you're an idiot. What can you do? So the wise old monkey left, and the whole family, all the children, all the cousins, everyone was destroyed. They didn't listen to him. Very serious. Then he went back to went back to Bhubaneswar, Sri Nityananda Thakur's appearance, and then there was 100 devotees to be initiated, I think, and 50 in Bali also. And Gurudev said, when I come back, I'll initiate them. It wasn't time. But Gurudev didn't come back. And that's why we're having this day today. Why we're having this. I'm not going to call it a celebration. What would we call it?
Remembrance.
Remembrance. Thanks, Luigi. We're having this remembrance because Gurudev didn't come back.
Well, he came back.
It's transcendental body, but what to do? So in Mayapur, a god brother and a god sister sent me an account of what happened, and they said, at one point Gurudev looked at them and said, speaking about the personnel in Mayapur, they are not Vaishnavas, he said, they are not Vaishnavas. So Gurudev left this world, a big statement on the appearance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, who is the bludgeoner. He would bludgeon, crack on the head those that spoke bogus philosophy. And he left that day because he was fed up with it. He'd had it. He'd had it with all the nonsense, with all the envy. In fact, Gurudev said to me, all they do in Mayapur is bully me, verbally bully, and verbally beat me. And he said to me, I've had it. In 1994, he said 3 things. I will breathe my last in Bhubaneswar. Then he said, I'm going to stop initiating. And I hit the panic button, I just freaked out. And then he said, I think I'll leave my body soon. He'd had it, he totally had it. He couldn't deal with it anymore. So, before going to Mayapur, and I've said this last year, but I'm going to say it again because I want to make a point about this. Because for someone to make a derogatory statement about what I'm going to say now, I think is not only unholy, it's non-human. Right? So in the interim, as I said last year to Vyasa Puja, Sri Badrinarayan Ramanuja Das came from Sri Rangam because Tirthananda Das, his uncle, had redone the chart of Gurudev and seen he's not going to stay up to 90 years, he's going to leave now. Contacted Sri Rangam. Sri Rangam sent Badrinarayan up, and Badrinarayan went to speak to Gurudev about not leaving his body. Don't go. Right? Now, some fellow, you see, this is this whole thing of trying to bring Gurudev down all the time. Right? Bring Gaur-Govinda Swami down. This fellow says, well, we heard the date of birth is incorrect. So how could the astrologers make all these statements? Right? Well, this is the answer. the date of birth in the passport is incorrect. When Gurudeva got to Australia, he was 60. In his passport, he was 72. Because someone just raised on in India, you just pay someone, you can get a passport. So, but the date of birth that we use is correct, and all the astrologers knew that. And the proof is, at the time he was just 2 or 3 months old, when that Nityananda Kaliratna came to Gully Huey from Denkanal and did the birth chart of Guru Maharaj, he listed everything Guru Maharaj would do, and everything happened. And his final point was, he's from that world, not from this world. And in 1971, when Gurudeva went to Hare Krishna Rishikesh with his friend Charan Kamango, and they met that sadhu, and the sadhu said the same thing the astrologer said at Gurudeva's birth, right? And this Charan Kamango was so shocked, he wrote a book about it, and then he said, I was pretty shocked. I saw the whole thing happen before my eyes from 1971 onwards. What this sadhu said in Hare Krishna Rishikesh, it all happened. And in 1974, he left family life, and that's what the sadhu said. So I won't go too much into that. So the date of birth in the passport is incorrect, but the date of birth of Gurudeva's 2nd of September 19 is correct. So, but the fellow that said that, they're just trying to bring Gurudeva down, just trying to bring Gurudeva down, just trying to bring Gurudeva down. Push him aside, sweep him under the carpet, and I'll become Guru. Isn't it? Sweep the Guru aside, and I'll take the glory. So, and by the way, this was a disciple of Guru Maharaj saying this. See, we don't, the mind boggles, right? So Bhadraraya Ramanuja Das visits Gurudeva and says 2 things. As I said last year, don't go to Mayapur, don't leave your body. What can I say? So, what are the symptoms of a Maha Bhagavat when he leaves this world? 1, the body glows. We don't glow. We don't have an effulgence. Well, we have an aura, but it's, And auras are part of the samudrika, right? Panchadirga, Panchasuksma, Saptarakta, Siddhartha, that samudrika shastra, it's part of that. The body glows, the body is limp, there's no rigor mortis. 5 hours, 7 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours, 18 hours. No rigor mortis. Body glows, no rigor mortis, and the body gives off a nice fragrance. No dead body smells nice. That's why they put you 6 foot under. Because if it's any less than 6 foot, it stinks. And that's why in Vedic culture they cremate the body, because then that's all taken care of. And then the ashes are thrown in the holy rivers. Then the next point was, Gurudeva's body started to transform and look like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. How's that going? Devotees that were right there in the pit, they saw it, right? Yep. And then this started to happen. The body started to change colour. The body started to change colour, as it did in 1979. You look, and that's the book we did on 1979, but this is nothing now. This is half the information. The new life story that's coming out, that's part 1, volume 1, part 1. Volume 1, part 2, we hope to have out for Gaur-Govinda. In there is the full information on this. It's double the size. The Mayapur 79 event of Gurudeva. The Samadhi of Gurudeva. Anyway, so the body started to change colour. So this is all symbols of Maha Bhagavata. This is not a conditioned soul. But there will be people, even disciples of our Gurudeva, will say, no, it's not correct. Because they want to hide Gurudeva, they want to cover him over, sweep him under, and they want to be Guru. That's the thing. So, of course, Gurudeva left. Now, on that, I said it this morning on that Zoom thing, but I'll say it again. When A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada
left this world, same symptoms, well, 3 of the same symptoms: body glowed, no rigor mortis, and nice fragrance. And Gurudeva did the same thing. So what? Conditioned soul? No, Maha Bhagavata. But we don't want to see that, see. We only want to see our own mental concept, because it interferes with our eating, sleeping, mating, defending, and all the other things that go along with it. So A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada left, and both those years, 1977 and 1996, were years of the Nava Kalevara, which means they changed the body of Jagannath. And both years, the Nityananda appearance was 2nd of Feb. So there's a lot of similarities. So the worst thing for the pseudo-sadhu, pseudo-swami, pseudo-guru, pseudo-spiritualist is the real deal. That's the worst thing. Because it shows them up. You know, if you get a real gold and fool's gold, if you really know, you'll see what's what. It shows them up to be not the real sadhu. Rather than serve the real sadhu, get rid of him and we'll be sadhu. Because my desire is, well, not mine, but their desire is sit on the Vyasasana. And Gurudeva said they want pranam and pranami, money and obeisances. So now, and many things happen, but I want to, one last thing, because a lot of devotees have got a lot of massive misconception about this point. And this point is very important and very valid. It's the 1994 Guru Tattva magazine of Jayanta Das. Am I talking too long?
No, keep going.
Nearly 1 hour.
Huh?
Nearly 1 hour.
Sorry.
It's 1:30. 5 more minutes.
Okay, I'll go quick. So, Jayanta Das, who's a disciple of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, met Gurudeva in 1985 and became his Shiksha disciple. And after hearing from Gurudeva, he realised that the understanding of Guru Tattva that we get from His Divine Grace Gaur-Govinda Swami, very wonderful, very correct. But what I'm hearing elsewhere is not so correct. So he decided to write a book on it. And it ended up the Guru Tattva magazine. Now, before he printed it, Gurudeva was on travelling in Orissa preaching, and he took the magazine and gave the transcript and gave it to Gurudeva to read. And Gurudeva read it and was very happy with it. And he contacted John Chris, was very happy, and they printed 2,000 copies. And I was there when Jayanta handed the finished product, the first magazine, to Gurudeva in his room. And Gurudeva was so happy, he was beaming. It was just, the light coming off his body was like coming out that far, like neon sign. It was just amazing. But this is symptoms of a sadhu. This is a real person. This is the person that can tell you your past, present, and future, what you should do and what you shouldn't do. Anyway, beaming. So when Jayanta left and Gurudeva had the magazine, I said to Gurudeva, can anyone do you think defeat this magazine? He said, not possible. It's a word of all our acharyas. He says, it's not possible to defeat it. It's the words of all our acharyas. So then, they went to Mayapur to distribute the magazine, and the senior managers there said, you can't sell this magazine here, because they didn't want it, because it was too direct. It was too truthful. The Siddhanta was too powerful in it, because it was all based on what Gurudeva was saying, but it was backed up with all the words of all the acharyas. Well, it's impossible to get through that. So Jayanta said to them, we're not going to sell it. And they went, oh. He said, we're going to give it away for free. And they freaked out. Then it was on. World War III began. Anyway, so then Gurudeva came back, and the magazines came back, and all the devotees, and then there was this whole, there was one sannyasi from Bengali glasses from in India, Mayapur, I think. He was after Gurudev because he didn't want that magazine distributed. Because it was too truthful. I mean, you read it now, it's just amazing. So anyway, this sannyasi was ringing Gurudev and saying, you have to reject Jayantakrit Das. And Gurudev said, I can't reject him. He's my godbrother. He's not my disciple. How do I reject him? Oh, I won't talk to him. Gurudev said to me, he said, I can't reject him. And it was becoming very political because you see, even George Orwell said, when a society moves further and further away from the truth, right, that society then begins to hate people that speak the truth. And then he said, in times of universal deceit, speaking the truth is seen as a revolutionary act. And Plato said, if you speak the truth, you'll be hated. We don't want the truth. Well, I think we do. There's a lot of people that don't. So the mag was banned technically. So Gurudev set on a plan with Jayantakrit. Okay, Jayantakrit, you're rejected. Jayantakrit said, just reject me and say, get this sannyasi off your back. And I said, okay. So Jayantakrit was rejected, and anyone that distributed the magazine was rejected. Right? That was the plan. So all the disciples of Gurudev, oh, Jayantakrit's rejected, this one's rejected, they're all rejected. Because they're going to distribute the magazine. And the two main people that were going to distribute the magazine all around planet Earth was Ananta Das, who became Tapasvi Maharaj, and Murli Krishna Das, who became Murli Krishna Maharaj. Right? The night before they were going on the mission to distribute the magazine, Gurudev chanted on their beads for them. And Gurudev said, this is to give extra strength and protection. So if that's rejection, I'd hate to see acceptance. Isn't it? And one guy brother tried to have a big fight with me, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, Nimai, you're a Padavachar. I said, okay, I'm a Padavachar, I can appreciate that, but they're not rejected. Oh, well, go through the register, they're not rejected. Go through the register of disciples, they're not rejected. So they weren't rejected, and Gurudev chanted, because the same fellow that said that to me rejected Gurudev in 1995, and there was a big thing about it. He looked so ridiculous, he was nearly out of Bhubaneswar and excommunicated for life. Anyway, we won't get into that. So Ananta and Murli head off on their mission. Rejected. Right? Suicide mission to distribute that magazine, which is 101% Guru Tattva Siddhanta. So then Ananta, who's now Tapasvi Maharaj, he said to Gurudev, after a while they were distributing the magazine, and the temple president from Vrindavan said, oh, we're going to kill you and stick garlic in your head, and all nonsense, you know, because we don't want the truth. Institutionalized religion will not give it to you. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, institutionalized religion is the death knell of spiritual life. And the Putana gurus, they dam up the flow of the Amritira Tarangini, the flow of nectar. Those Bakasura and Putana gurus, right? So Ananta says to Gurudev, Srila Gour-Govinda Swami says, Gurudev, so what's our mission? We're out here distributing this magazine, but it's like a battlefield. What's the mission? And Gurudev said, just see if there is anyone favourable to our cause, and just see if we can set up some temples that are simultaneously ISKCON and not ISKCON. That was the mission, and see who's favourable to our cause. And then Gurudev was thinking about getting a green card and living in America and using Bhubaneswar. Just when he visited India, he'd go and visit Bhubaneswar. This is the big plan. It was a big plan.
What year was that?
94. And Bhubaneswar would be a place Gurudev would have just visited as he visits Ulaanbaatar or anywhere else would have visited. So, yeah, they're not rejected, and Gurudev wanted that magazine. See how people get the wrong end of the stick? And everyone's got that story. They're all rejected in that magazine. But actually that magazine is
Actually, he's redone it a few times. I've got it here. And he's added things and whatever, and that's the new version, and it's very, very excellent. I mean, it's a who's who of Guru Tattva. It's very brilliant.
What is the name, please?
Sorry?
What is the name on it? I can't read it.
Sri Guru Tattva. And I've got a couple of copies here if anyone wants to purchase them. Maybe we can auction them off later. No, mate. So you can see how people get the wrong end of the stick. But Gurudev chanting on your beads before you left on a mission for extra strength and protection, come on, you know. So we have to be very careful when we think we know everything and we know it all, right? And because we don't know it all, we don't know what went on in the heart. We don't know what Gurudev said to all these individual devotees. And we weren't there at every single point in time. So I'll just end off with, so that's my offering, and this is my wife's offering, the magazine to Gurudev. If you gave a donation, you get it for free. If you didn't, you'll have to pay for it, sorry. We print it in Australia. It's 3 or 4 times the cost, but there's nothing we can do about it. So yeah, thanks very much, Dandavats, and all glories to Gurudev.
Maybe click through it for the people watching online. Do you mind? Do you want to put some pictures on the...
What?
Just show some of the pictures of the book on the...
magazine?
Yeah, on the live stream.
And say how much it is.
Well, not that one. There's Gurudev's lotus feet. Is that on?
A bit closer, a bit closer.
Down, like that, yeah. Gurudev's lotus feet. The Sampradaya Pranali page. Going all the way to His Divine Grace, Srila Gour-Govinda Swami. I just want to say one more thing actually, because my wife and I, Manjumata Devidasi, we publish Gurudev's books. We're Tattva Vichar Publications, and we're also Tattva Darshan Media. And our mission statement is this one point: to connect the dots between A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and His Divine Grace Gaur-Govinda Swami. As the successor, Acharya to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is Gaur-Govinda Swami. That's our whole thing. What we do, what we say, what we print, what we publish, whatever, it's that one point. Connect the dots between there. And until we understand that, we're not going to move forward. So there's the Sampradaya Pranali all the way down to His Divine Grace Gaur-Govinda Swami. The transcendental tree of Maha Prabhu with many branches, Bande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prema Priyan, Vishva Vishwa Sakakari Eka Eka Mandala. In the words of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, ISKCON is one branch. Gurudev again being glorified in song. Divine words from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Sachidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur, 7th Goswami. Actually, he says here, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I'm still talking, aren't I? We can clearly understand that the disciplic succession parampara called the Brahma Sampradaya has been flowing down to the present time. The feature of this Sampradaya is that the unadulterated knowledge of the Veda has been handed down in an unbroken chain of spiritual preceptors and has thus sustained religious principles. Then he says, anyone who doesn't accept the Sampradaya, Pranali, very sinful. There's A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada speaking, as soon as the disciplic succession is missing, then everything is lost. Must be Sampradaya Pranali. And there's a lecture by Gurudev, Sri Guru Parampara. Front cover, back cover, alright?